Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. This is going to be a very quick episode because I want to talk about something that I find incredibly exciting. Stay tuned for a stream coming up of Alien Isolation. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. So, I have heard information that at first I thought was a complete rumor, and I ended up finding out that it's definitely true, but we're not sure exactly what it is. And the rumor is that what they've said, that's factual, is that there is a brand new Atari system coming out. Now, soak that in for a second. I'm not talking about it being a flashback Atari system. I'm not even talking about necessarily being an Atari Mini, like the NES Mini, although that is possible, but an actual Atari system. And when I heard about this, I got incredibly excited and decided that this has to be a hoax, right? There's no way that Atari is actually coming out with a new console. Well, the system that I saw was called Atari Box, and apparently all these different companies were getting emails from Atari regarding this. Now, I saw a quick teaser trailer, and if you want to see it, just punch in Atari Box into any Google site, and any one you click on will show it. There is a quick teaser, and the teaser shows a system, and it's going past it, and you see a wood grain finish, you see a very sleek black design, and you also, if you look closely, see 3 USB ports. And then it does a close-up of the Atari logo, which then lights up, which looks like what it would do on the actual system. And then it kind of blinks out, and it makes an old-school Atari sound, and I was like, holy shit. And then I thought to myself, what are the chances that Atari could actually come out with a console, and would they, coming out to go against PS4 and everybody else? Doesn't seem like make a whole lot of sense, right? If Atari's making games, but what major games have we seen? How much money can they possibly have, right? So that's what I was sitting there thinking is, wait a second, this can't possibly be it. I mean, Sega has more money than them, they're not bringing out a system. But then I started to think about it. Now, there is a good chance that it's just an HDMI Atari Mini that has 5200, 2600, 7800, and Atari Jaguar games on it, but that is doubtful for many, many reasons, which I'm going to explain. Couple of things to go about this. First off, if you go to the website, there is a button for devs, now meaning developers, which means they're inviting developers to come and play or to make games for their system, and that to me is saying a lot right there. So they're showing that they want to put games on their console. So unless this happens to be something like that, a retro system, I can't remember what it's called, it was going to come out that turned out to be a big sham, something like that, where they're putting out Atari games and having indie retro developers, which is a possibility, and that's still a new console. There is a chance that they are. Atari said they've been working on it for 4 to 5 years, and I mean, the development time for a system, I can see that working 4 to 5 years. I mean, that seems like it is an adequate amount of time. Some people will say it's not. You actually would need more time than that, but I'm just saying, it seemed like a possibility. So then I started thinking back further. Atari has always been a comeback company. So let's go back to the 2600 Wild Wild West days, okay? 2600 came out, they were the be-all and end-all for, real video games other than the brown box to come out, and they were everything. And then we had a major video game crash, right, in 1983. Year I was born, ironically. After the video game crash in 1983, an Atari 5200 came out, a revised version, which was a failure because even though it had great games on it, they had terrible joysticks and a lot of other issues. They scrapped that, and this is after a major crash, and they went completely fucking bankrupt along with every other company at the time, I think. Coleco, television was gone, but that was Mattel, so they were fine. They came back with a 7800. Well, 72, 78, having a brain fart, and when they came back with that 72, 7800, whatever, 7800, when they came back with that, the NES was already out, and the Master System, and even though it was a really cool, it was technically inferior and behind, and it did not do good, and again, they failed, which means they lost money on every one of those systems. Sorry, so you're thinking, okay, 2 failed systems in a row here, they're probably done. Well, then what happened? Now this, remember, came out in around, I think 98, 87, 88, 4 years later, again, they came out with the Atari Jaguar, which was a 32-bit next-gen system, and then, even though that wasn't doing good, they had the Atari CD system, Jaguar CD system lined up with it, so somehow they got the money to do it again. So, I don't know where Atari pulls the money out of their butt. I haven't seen many games by them. I know they have some arcade games. I know they did that Alone in the Dark game, but that definitely didn't make them any money. That last one was terrible. But they keep coming back. So now, 17 years later, we have Sony, we have Microsoft, and we have Nintendo, right? Nintendo, the only one being the original dog in this game. What would happen if E3 came and Atari legitimately announced a system? They said, here's Atari, here's our eTop, play every Atari game that we ever came out with, Jaguar, 2600, 7800, you name it, and they had developers working. Is it possible? Yes. Does it seem like it would work? It could be an uphill struggle for them. That is one thing that is absolutely for sure. You know, as of right now, you know, Sega would have a much better chance of being able to do that because they are more, they came out at a quicker time than they did, and they also had a lot more, you know, huge classic games. We're talking about Atari from the late 70s and 80s with their 2600 games, to, you know, Sega being a major competitor of Nintendo. So it's like, well, Sega may not want to take that risk even if they can until they're doing it better in the future. I don't think they're going to come out with a system. Maybe if this whole revamp thing of Sega that happens, you know, 20 years from now, but I'll go into that later. Sega system not happening right now, but this Atari thing is very intriguing. I'm really wondering if it's going to happen. So anyways, I would keep your eyes out for E3. Now again, take it with a grain of salt. It could be like a Nintendo Mini situation, or it could be an actual console that is also has indie developers on it, like that one shitty retro system that never made it to the market that had the Jaguar shell. Maybe that gave Atari the idea to do that, and they're actually making a system with all their games on it, with the ability to play little cartridges like the Switch or on an SD card, and they're going to have indie developers come to it and do with the retro, I can't remember what it's called, retro NVS, VG, something that failed, and that seems like the best possibility, but who knows? For all we know, it could be nuts. Could you imagine going to E3 and seeing a new console? All these kids don't even know what the fuck Atari is, or maybe they do because they have YouTube now. But either way, that would be really exciting, and I'm one to say that I would pick up that system in 5 seconds. I don't care whether it failed in 6 months, I would get every game on it that I could, and I would play it, and it would be amazing. But their best bet would be to go with the retro VGS thing I was talking about. That was a failure. They successfully would do it, and that's my other connection. Think about it. They were using Jaguar shells. That was a big hoax, but a lot of people were really into it, or there was something that failed, but this is Atari. They do still have some kind of name recognition for themselves. So anyways, if you want to know what the source is, look up AtariBox.com. There's a website. Don't look at YouTube. There's not a video of it up yet, other than probably people talking about it like me, but look it up on Google, and you will see an awesome little 20-second mini trailer. I'm fucking excited. Let's hope that something really crazy happens at E3, and you know what? This may be complete bullshit, it could be a hoax, it could be something else, but it doesn't seem that way. And you never know. Before I would have said this isn't possible, but Shenmue 3 happened, and since Shenmue 3 happened, I honestly have to say, guys, I think almost anything is possible. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Give me comments below, let me know what you guys think, and please stay tuned for our upcoming stream of Alien Isolation, where we stream and dialogue. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.